because it is again coming in the wake of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. We'll get to the issues now. With me in studios is Mr. RCC, Deputy RCC for Nakawa, Ndugu Anderson Borora. You're very welcome, Ndugu Anderson.
Thank you, sir.
Happy to have you here this morning, and I very much wanted to have you here because you are from Nakawa. We saw what happened yesterday. Let me first hear from you how you got the news, how you received it, and what were your first reactions to the news that you got about the shooting yesterday?
Of course, like any right-thinking Ugandan or human being, it was so shocking and unbelievable, yet it was true. And it was so unfortunate to hear such news. More so to a person like General Katumba, who we all know that his work ethics are basically work-related, principled, maybe, but he's this one person I have not had in scandals or in dubious, things. So it is unfortunate that, and I actually put on my Facebook that public servants who are honest are the most at risk in public service works. Because when you are honest, it means you are going to have so many enemies.
Because of honesty? Because
of honesty. And if you are a dishonest person, you're going to have so many friends and protection. So it was so disheartening, and I think whoever is interested in the life of the person of Katumba, I think is not a good person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate for what happened yesterday, and we continue to condole with the family of General Edward Katumba Avala because they lost a family member, and the family of Harun Nakayondo, I think, the driver, who also died. We really send our condolences to them, and we sympathize and condole with them. However, this incident is happening in your area of jurisdiction. It's happening in your district in Nakawa. Felix Kawese, I'm told, was shot not far away from where they were trying to shoot, or where they shot at General Katumba, because they actually shot at him. I'm told the proximity is you can look at the proximity, but it is happening. Let's talk about security generally, but also talk about security in your personal own area of Nakawa.
First of all, I want to categorically make it clear that Nakawa is not a soft ground for killing people, but we are talking about organized crime. And organized crime is sometimes a work for cowards, but also who are organized. You can be a coward who is organized and who is doing what is confidential to you. Anything confidential is hard to deal with because it is hard to detect. Everyone, we have hundreds of cars, we have hundreds of people moving around, and you cannot tell what exactly everyone is going to do in the next, an hour. Even when you woke up, you knew I'm going to UBC. From UBC, you will not take the same route as you had wished before. So organized crime is organized crime, and it is not easy to deal with. You see the extent of organized crime, you can take it to, you can look at what happened to President Kennedy. Like a president of the superpower being gunned down. We have seen the Pope, the president of the world being gunned down. The examples are many. Recently, the Italian ambassador who was killed in Congo. So organized crime really is hard to deal with. All you can do is to make it hard sometimes. In most cases, when you can't make it hard, it is hard to eliminate. You know, yesterday some journalists asked me, General said, now you don't take it to the general. All of us have enemies. But the level of those who are hating us differ. One akuwala nainza okubanga gwe wakasali oba waluyi agamba bwe ndifuna oyo we mukuba oluyi nditerera. Others would be not to such extent, and the only thing we can now look at is how do we make it hard. How do we now empower? Making it hard does not mean deploying a battalion on everyone, but also making it hard means sensitizing the public to increase on the measures of fighting crime. Among the measures actually may not be detection, because if you look at the crime rate or gun rate, gun-related violence, like for example in South Africa, a year they register more than 28,000 cases. Emitwalo ebiri mu kanaana. We are not about in a year. If you look at the US, every day gunshots, they are rampant. It means the issue now is we are dealing with what is within us, and also we are dealing with people. One, we have so many people who are exposed to using firearms. They may not own, but they are exposed, so they can easily access. You know, we have people who have been private security companies, hundreds of them, hundreds of thousands. We have people who have been, you know, who have deserted security forces. Even we have bad elements within our security forces. That is for a fact. We have bad elements. Yes, we have trained, we have them, they are within us. But at the end of the day, you cannot control the devil and his works. So it becomes hard that when you only rely on the infrastructure put up by government, without looking at other possible measures of either detection or prevention. Among the measures of detection and prevention is that if we can sensitize the public to make it a routine. For example, if you have more security cameras around, you know, cameras are not basically security like these ones the government has mounted almost everywhere, but also people's properties. People's properties, if now they can help us to expose. When Genda was peeping, camera nemulaba.
Walking back and forth.
Walking back and forth, cameras seeing you. So it will make it hard for these perpetrators, because they know eyes are everywhere, and they cannot switch off every camera. Mr.
RCC, brother, hold it there. I want us to look at those pictures. Of course, now those are the pictures that were shot and, of course, shared with us. Just look at that. Now, there's another one that I wanted to show. Please give us the other one where we see some cartridges on the on the floor. Now, just look at these pictures as they are now. Look at the general's car. Look at quite a number of things at the scene of crime. What should the people do? First and foremost, what do you tell the people to do? Because I am sure somehow you either got a call or you saw what was on WhatsApp and on the social platforms. Then you knew something had happened, and of course you are the head of security in that particular area. You rushed, you went, got there. But what needs to be done? Because we will start, and we've started already, to demand for our tradition. We need a police report over this matter. Then we also say, but of course history does not judge you well. There are so many other matters that have never been resolved. What should we do in such a situation when we come to at the scene of crime?
You see, actually I even talked about this yesterday. we have a bad culture. I think it's not a bad culture given the environment that this government has tried and fought, you know, gun use, gun violence. Right before, when people would hear a gunshot, they would run to the nearest cover possible. But today, when you hear a gunshot, it is so embarrassing that people run towards where the gunshots are.
They don't run away from the bullets. They run towards the bullets.
They run towards the bullet. And that is already an indicator of how insensitive the public is. I gave a visible account. I was in Mubende, I think 2 years ago. So there were gunshots in the market. That's what I learned later. I think there were some robberies in Senene, traders and what. So there are gunshots. But the whole market, the whole town ran towards the market. Even when gunshots were still ongoing.
People were still in Senene, they were shooting guns and people were running towards the
market.
People
who didn't know what was happening.
They were running towards
the market. They were running where the gunshots were taking place.
In Bende.
In Mubende. Now, for not this alone, we have yesterday, if you look at the crime of sin, people, well, it is good, people were coming, but would need to be prudent for you to first establish what exactly is happening. But at the same time, you cannot blame the public. Why? Because this is someone who is aiding, fighting for life. What should they, to control? They would come, they saved his life. You know, the response had not reached because maybe the news had not reached to the responsible people who would come in time. But they came in time. But now, how to behave at the crime of sin? It's a very big challenge because now it requires a trained person to know how to behave on a crime of sin. That one, it is a very serious case because it is very easy to tamper with the evidences, with the investigations. It is even easy to take away some of the exhibits that would be good, would be like sufficient in the investigations. But in some cases, what do? It is called an accident. You know, an accident is an unexpected occurrence. You didn't know, you didn't expect, and you don't even know what to do. You are caught in the state whereby you don't know what to do.
Okay. So we've started already, like I told you. Everybody who talks about what happened yesterday, they will say, now look at this, look at this. We are thankful to God that General Katumba did not die. We need to investigate. But yet again, whoever talks about that will talk about Chirumira, they'll talk about Kawesi, they'll talk about Chigundu, they'll talk about several others. They'll talk about Kagezi, and so many others will come into the picture. Please, we need an investigation. We need to investigate this. But you still talk about Abiriga, you still talk about all those. What needs to be done? Because now Katumba Wamala is just one on the list, one of the many on the list. Thankful to God that he's alive. All the others have since died. But of course, that's the story that we'll keep asking for. What is with security that the public will keep ranting and asking and demanding for these reports endlessly?
You see, I want to be honest with you and the viewers. Crime occurrences are constant. Just like sin. You know, they are constant, and I cannot sit here and lie to the public that yesterday's scenario is the last one. Why? Because, as I told you, that these are organized crimes. We condemn them with the highest contempt required, but at the end of it all, as I told you, organized crime is organized crime. The intentions of the perpetrators sometimes is not known. The only thing that we can do to control this is to review where have we erred, who deserves what, and how do we now increase on the prevention, because the prevention is the increasing on exposure of anything that you are doing. And if we look at exposure, how do we eliminate soft areas, like areas of whereby there is compromise in one way or the other? The safety of Ugandans, actually the lessons must be learned from every scenario that we get ourselves into. How do we now, like in that place, as we saw, if it is a soft area of committing crime, how do we identify more of those areas, and how do we increase on the exposure? Because it means that even the residents around there are vulnerable on the widespread. Even people around there are vulnerable, and they need to be secured. And that's why I'm talking about increasing exposure of crime. If you rewind back about 10-15 years ago, the rampant crimes in town were pickpocketing, because it was a new thing in town. No one knows how it happens, and the vigilance is low. So the vigilance is low, the exposure is high. You come, you just put your phone in the pocket. This is my phone, this is my pocket. I am walking. Why would one come and steal from me? When people realized that, now they added, if you put a phone in the pocket, you also put your hand. I have money, it's my wallet, it's in my pocket. But it is vulnerable, it is easy to reach. Now people started putting money in boxes if they are in town. Why? They are increasing on the security of their property, because it is vulnerable. But now that it is known, and the measures have been increased to control property or valuables of people, it is no longer rampant. If you read the 2020 crime report that the IGP launched, I think last month or in April, I think it was in April.
It was in April.
The crimes that were increasing, we have domestic violence, I think because of the lockdown and because of the economic hardships. We had cyber crimes that were on the increase, and economic crimes. And some cases we are going low. We had low cases of accidents because of the measures in motorists that we are put on motorists. Meaning that every time things change, you see, land was a giveaway. You know, Jagenda, you have your land, kanisa and wade ekatan. Nesomero, muzimbeko. It is today, even to get 20 by 15, it is not easy. Even those that were given to churches 50 years ago, and they did not do the paperwork and the documentation legally, right now they are on the chase. So this means that every time society evolves, new changes come, new challenges come. They can be economical, they can be social, they can be political, they can be, you know, even crime, because new things. So where we are headed as a country, we are bragging about development, we are bragging about, you know, in the communities, it is hard to hear and but if you go to villages, people are sleeping with their chickens and their pigs in the same house.
For fear? For fear. Because they don't want to be stolen.
So even here, as we evolve into something new, we must come to terms that the reality is the challenges are going to be different. And the security measures we are talking about must be collective responsibility. If we are talking about a life, whether it is a general, whether it is a president, whether it is a muntu wa wansi, the security challenges, if they are not shared, as a common goal cannot be achievable, whether you put what kind of infrastructure that you want in this country. Why do you think in the US, with all the infrastructure put in place, and having the infrastructure also does not guarantee that crime will not be committed? No, you will have even cameras on camera across, but crime will be crime.
Okay.
Someone will come and kill.
Okay.
And some will come and kill and go report themselves.
Okay.
As even when we hear someone will kill his wife and children, go report, or even commit suicide himself. So these are community challenges.
Mr. Sisi, we're going to take a break and return. I have a very long SMS here from, a long message here from Tony Geoffrey Wana that is shared here. It's just giving us history of some of the things, but it will just be very interesting for you to hear it when I read it out to you. And when we return, we also want to look and examine our CCTV cameras, for example. We are thinking, because when Kawesi was gunned down, when Kagezi was gunned down, I think we didn't have cameras at that time. Now that we have these cameras, the president came to parliament, he said one of the measures that we're going to use is this. And we now have the cameras. We want to see what the cameras can do and what the cameras cannot do, and what more we need to do with that. We'll take a break and return shortly.
This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Therefore, understanding this model. Hey, excuse me, lady. Who do you think you are? A queen?
Hey, haven't you heard? Get Airtel Chillax bundles and browse like a queen.
Get Airtel Chillax bundles that do not expire and browse like a queen or king. Dial *175# or use My Airtel app.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we love, because it's those things that bring us close together.
Live from UBC Studios in Morning Uganda Extra.
Well, welcome back from that short break. My name is Jaganda Samakola Ziksoka. We carry on now with GMU Extra with RCC Fanakawa, Mr. Anderson Burora, talk about the state of security in the country and in areas, especially following the botched assassination of General Edward Katumba Mala yesterday, even when we lost Edward Katumba Mala's daughter and the driver who died on spot as a result of that shooting. We pray for their families and condole with the families that God takes them through this very trying moment. Ndugu RCC, there is a question coming in from somebody to actually say, there was somebody who was shot, before you get into what I told you earlier, he was shot, I think, by a stray bullet. And so he wants to know, is it your responsibility as government, or it is his personal responsibility? Or where do we take him now?
A stray bullet in yesterday's killing. No, you see, this is a scenario whereby it is not an operation.
It's not a government operation?
Yes. But now, you see, government, whether even if it was a stray bullet from an operation, government has responsibility, but also the responsibilities are limited. You will not claim certain things, but maybe medical attention, but also how did it happen? Was he around the area, or he was away from the scene? That can be looked into, and if it is identified already, I am very sure it has already been handled.
My senior Attorney Joffrey says we shall skip the 1960s Nakulebe incident. When Private Alege was murdered in Chiswa some 50 years ago, President Amini's spokesman vowed that the village on which the killers were found would pay heavily. They killed a private, and Idi Amini's spokesperson, I'm a spokesperson, made a statement and said, where we shall find the killers, in the village where we shall find the killers, there will be collateral damage. When 2 soldiers were murdered in Nyendo Masaka, VP General Adris forgave the Wananchi with a warning. Each soldier you kill, 50 of you will die. For every 1 soldier that you kill, 50 of you will die. And they never tried it again. Now that was a warning from the VP, Adrisi, General Adris. When we lost General Oito Jok in 1983, this was in December, those found not to be mourning or suspected of being happy also paid for their folly. Because we had lost a general, Oito Jok. Now, those were found not mourning or not even, a general has died and you're not mourning. But today, we have people. Now we'll get to that. Then he says, in 1988, the Wananchi Makinde murdered Captain Magala Semsota Nkubeja, and we only saw senior NRA officers led by General Rujema weeping. When he was shot in Kanyanya in 1995, Kano Kasiri Gwanga and NRA, they kept in total peace. That Kana Brigadier Jipi Kawesi and Major Chigundu murders did not trigger reprisal killings was true. We was a proof of NRM's fundamental change. Now he says, now the Chisota zone is still in peace after an attempt on a Foster UPDF general's life. And this is the last testament that we have. He says it's the last testament in the NRM. Now, he's just taking you through this, that these acts are happening. Previously, well, of course, you don't want to say kill them now because these ones will not rebuttal. You've heard one message. What do you have to say about it?
Well, you see, the reactions of certain incidents differ. The reactions then and the reactions now can be weighed.
Is the government too lenient or too
you see, why I don't agree with the Owana, the killings then were based on different reasons. For example, if a village murdered or beat someone they didn't agree politically. Just politically you disagree, and someone in the village beats you and nothing happens. I think if such actions happened, but also there are some freedoms that restrict certain actions. Such things cannot happen today because of even the constitution. You know, the constitutions and the laws of Uganda cannot allow you to do that. Then, you know, the country was led on decree. A spokesperson can instruct anything and it happens. It can't happen today. Even the CDF can instruct, even the president
cannot say,
we say the agenda far, and someone will go to court and they reverse a presidency directive. Even the decision, there are so many decisions that have been taken to court and they have been so the laws then, the requirements of the law then and the requirements of the law now are different. But when you read around the whole situation, you realize that there would be nothing that would warrant a community or the area to be punished for that, because purportedly the perpetrators are just killers from elsewhere who are doing a specific, you know, task assigned by a fellow, you know, blood sucker somewhere who is interested in seeing blood. But also we need to appreciate that bloodshed is not something we are used to, and every time we see blood around, even if it is very far, it smells bad. It really smells bad, and that is something that we should give credit for. That even when it happens, there is really a very serious call that has led to it. So if we are mourning a murder of that manner in so many years, and that happens not as a result of a possible and visible, traceable moves, it gives confidence in the public that actually there are so many groups that are held to make sure that certain things do not become an everyday thing. If you look at countries like Nigeria now, people are killed in numbers. A whole school is rounded up, either killed or taken. If you look at Ethiopia now, Ethiopia has been known to be a semblance of peace and economic growth, a benchmark for most of the countries, but now it is falling to the dogs. If you look at there are so many scenarios and examples we can give. So if we are here to mourn a few, you know, isolated cases that happen once in a while here and there, but they are not an everyday thing. They are not like Chibade Massacre, Lero Chirigundi, Lero Gundi, Lero Gundi. There it calls for some, but hit and run is something we can deal with. Hit and run is an everyday thing, like even in accidents. Someone will knock you at okay. What we are experiencing, yes, we should be worried at who is interested in people's lives. But also in our place of work, as I wind on this, we have enemies. We have enemies. We step on so many people's, and their action is like to only deal with is to deal with an individual. And once such people are taken out of action in such a manner, it is an indicator that actually the country is grooming quite a number of vibrant people who are willing to speak and act on the truth. And as I told you, if you are a good person, you have in a system, in an organization, usually they say you are, or you know, lugezigezi. But if you sit down to analyze obubibu, you realize they are based on principles. Then you find a crook around who is shrewd, who is then that is a good person and is friendly, because they can do bad things within the organization, and that is a survival for some. So this is an indicator that we need so many people that they can't kill and finish. We need so many people who are principled and who are willing to fathom the interests of the organization. If they become so many, we shall eliminate even this kind of behavior. Because I don't believe that a general is as a result of a deal gone bad. Usually such cases emanate from deals gone bad within thugs. Mwabye TV tano oli natwala nnya n'abalekeri nebagamba, because that is their way of work. So I believe we need so many people to discourage such actions from, maybe if it is from a case of denial of the service.
The test now has come back to our cost for the cameras, and of course we're already talking. The return on investments or the value for money, for all the monies that we put into putting up and erecting all these cameras around, because they're actually almost everywhere. And because this has actually happened when we even have the cameras, and recently we saw cameras help us a lot get especially the rioters who were in the previous riots that we had towards the end of last year. And people were saying, why are the cameras very active now, or very visible, or very clear, or very accurate on finding these were casting and throwing stones and here and there? It's a test for the camera systems. Do you think with the cameras that we have, they will help us, aid us, get to the assailants?
But you see, it is wrong when people say these cameras have not helped.
Exactly, that's why
you don't know how many cars have been recovered.
Stolen cars.
Stolen cars because of those cameras. You don't know how many people who have been kidnapped and there is a visible lead and these people have been recovered. So many cases, thousands if not millions of them. You don't know how many thugs pickpocketing. You see the reason why pickpocketing is now phasing out. Sometimes someone will be in a control room and view a whole street. Then a silent operation will happen around. And people will not be able to have a camera, which was not before. Even when you snatch a phone, they will trace you. Because when you run from Luomo Street, where else are you going to go? You are going to enter a building and get out on George Street, or you get out on William, and they will get you. So these cameras have helped in so many ways. But also, even the killers, if you have been watching in the media, just that some security information is not good for public consumption. Because now people they are like, now they want a TV
like this,
like this, to show what every day is done, what cameras do. It is not like that. Security
it's
work,
not a TV show.
No. Security work is private work, is sensitive work. It is not work for public consumption, because they will, even the security work is not supposed to be known. That is why when you get exposed, even loopholes, people start looking now for the weak points of security. They know this street is, but here and here, when you do this, you go like this. Because human beings are like that. Every time they will get a solution for something.
They want to watch all that every day.
They want to put a constant TV put every day.
But you even can't know which road is this, whether this is in Entebbe or
no,
this is
some
in
can identify.
No, I mean, yes, you can, but there are too many.
Yes.
For you to start thinking that now this is Kajansi, this is... because we don't know everywhere.
So that they should know that CCTV cameras have actually helped about 30% to reduce crime.
To resolve, yes.
Yes. I think even more than 30. It might be even 50%. Now, where it is left, for example, Jagenda, you put on a hat, you put on a mask. The camera will not...
Because putting on a mask now is very legal.
Yes, it is legal. You know?
It is very legal. Nobody can say, why are you concealing yourself?
You remember there is the killers of Nagiling. When they stole where they went, they would be identified. So even cameras, even when they are there will be some weaknesses in identifying. I will see your structure, but I may not see the face. And as I told you, to beef security and its systems, it is a constant investment still. Now we have to reach at a level whereby we can even run facial recognitions. That's a huge investment in the human resource, in the technology, and everything. Implementation. It means now government must have every picture of every citizen. So that if they run your forehead, just this thing, they can easily pick you out. So that's a very big investment to take and to pick. So it's constant investment. And when you hear government saying that we are giving a huge budget to security, certain things, as I've told you, may not be discussed. But some of the things that security wants to resolve are these. Because for us, we will detect and we work around it to resolve it. We are not going to come and start lamenting in the public. We are going to do this, because even your capacity to do certain things as security should not be known.
Mr. RSS, do you also have a plan to reduce on the guns amongst the populace? Because this is one of the things that people actually talk about. There are so many guns within the Wananchi, and I think some guns are not even known. Could that be true?
Yesterday, I was talking on some radio station. I gave them a revelation that the Karamoja disarmament program recovered 45,000 guns.
Amongst the population of the
Karamojans. Karamoja sub-region. 45,000. Maybe when I speak it in English, someone may not understand. But
that's a whole army.
Yes, and it is said that some did not declare all. So it is possible that a family had like 5 guns, or 2, or 3, but they declared 2 or 1. Or some declared everything. Then, Uganda is like an island that is healing from gun violence, given the history of this country. It is healing from gun violence. It is healing from gun use. It is healing from rebel activities. Healing. The president coming to government through
an armed
struggle. It took him 20 years, from 1986 to 2006, fighting gun violence and gun illegal use and murders. 20 years. So history, to even fight to get this thing out of the public, it took him 20 years, and the government, and with measures that were top-notch. This means that 20 years later, it doesn't mean that everyone is healed, because to heal a community discipline, it takes a long time. It actually takes generations, not even time, it takes generations. It will take us generations to understand that violence is not the only use for change of power or even power acquisition. It will take us generations. Why? We must have attachment to our country. You must have a reason. Some people have not gotten a reason. Uganda has developed more than its people. The country as a country has developed more than its human resource. That's why when you put up a camera to help in security, someone will see it as scrap.
That camera?
That camera. Someone will come to vandalize it, ajitwale mu scrap. That's when you put there a security light to ease movements of people. Someone will see it as scrap. You will not see it as an investment
For value.
For value, no. So the country is growing, is developing more than the people. That's why I'm saying that it will take us generations for us to start valuing what we think is actually is of no value. So our cameras have done tremendous work. But just that, sometimes it is until when it helps you individually, that's when you want to appreciate it. Our security men have done tremendous work. But when you get a shock, you forget everything, and that is human nature. When you get a shock of something, then you render everything irrelevant, you render everything useless, and you think there has never been any security measure in this country. But because of that shock. But you see, we have 360 days, 65 days. And every day is a new day. Someone is out there trying to make things work. But when if lapse happens, you forget, and you now want to say, no, this country is useless, this security has nothing to tell us because this and this. My friend, that is not how it works. This security and all the investments done, they not be visible to you. But it is visible because of the inability in the environment. The general environment, how does it? It doesn't just happen like that. There is a lot of effort that is invested. There are people who are not sleeping because of the situation.
For others to sleep.
For others to sleep.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Mr. RCC, Anderson Borora from Nakawa. We thank you so much, and we know that, of course, security is prevailing in that area. Just like Tony Owana said, you attempt to kill a foster general in an area, and everybody goes to sleep. People are back to their businesses, they are moving, they are eating, they are drinking, they are doing all the things. Well, and I think we also need to appreciate the security personnel and the government at that. We'll stop it here. My name is Jagenda Semakola Ziksoka, just reminding you that Charles Odongtho will be here tonight at 10 o'clock with Behind the Headlines. Stay blessed, for God and my country. Till tomorrow, I'm wishing you a very blessed Martyrs Day tomorrow. Good morning. Thank you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.